Hello again, my name is John and I am a nobody. Today we're off back to Neukölln in Berlin and a few stories which I'd like to share with you. I lived there for a long time, and in that time I had there were seven different violent, semi-violent incidents, and I'd like to explain a couple to you. The great thing about telling true stories is that you don't have to make things up or follow a particular line of thought or narrative. You just tell things as they are. And so this one is about incidents, violent or potentially violent incidents, which concerned foreigners, of which I was one. I was a foreigner, obviously, being English, but of the 7 different moments I had, only 2 involved Germans, and they were intoxicated, let's put it that way, or they were on substances. Anyway, I won't do them all at once because there are too many to mention. Though actually it's not that many if you think about it, because I did live there for 25 years, which is a long time. So 7 potential dangerous incidents, and not that many. It's probably worse in London now or parts of Sweden. And anyway, so the first one I wanted to mention is a true story, and it is incredible. So I was going to the shop and I walked down the road, and on the corner there was what do they call it in German? It was a gambling place, you know, with machines in. And this young man came out, and I think he might have lost some money or wasted a lot of money. I walked around the corner just as he came out, and he slammed his elbow into my side, which was, you know, painful and totally unprovoked. He sauntered off down the road and left me there holding my rib cage, and I just shouted out to him in German, you know, what was that all about? By this time, he, you know, moved further on down the road, down the pavement, and he turned around. It's like he'd been waiting for me to say something, and that had provoked him enough, for him to come back in my direction in an aggressive manner. He came up to me like, he was quite fit looking guy, like he'd been in the gym. He was about my size, but a lot wider. And he came back at me, and I thought, okay, there's going to be trouble now, because I can't run because of my knee, which I mentioned in another story. And so I don't have that option. Not that I would have used that option, but I don't have that option. So it's just stand your ground is the only option I have. He went up the pavement. Well, there were 3 steps, so he went up onto the edge of the road and started flexing his muscles, getting sort of ready for the up and coming fight. I thought, well, you know, my chances are not great, you know. He's much younger than me, and he's obviously fit. And my chances of getting out of this, you know, in one piece, about 30%, 40% maybe. But I was not going to back down. Well, I couldn't go anywhere. So he started to do his stretchings and get ready for this great moment in his life. And I stood there. I had a strategy. My back was protected by the wall. I thought I'll wait for him to come for me, and then I'll just keep still, and if he attacks me, I'll whack him, and we'll see what happens. So he launched himself off this area higher, which was slightly higher than the pavement. He launched himself with this karate kick, which was, you know, something out of the movies. And I saw him come through the air. I just stood there with my hands down by my side and waited for him to arrive. But I looked at him and I thought, he's not going to make that. I mean, that kick he's doing, it's not going to hit me from that distance. He arrived exactly, you know, where I thought he would, in front of me, but too short to actually hurt me. And I hadn't moved. And I hadn't moved an inch. So my hands were still down by my sides. And I just looked at him. And then he said to me in broken German, "Have you a cigarette?" And I said to him, "No, I don't have cigarette." And then he stormed off. I had survived, and, you know, in my book, it wasn't a win on my part, but it wasn't a win on his part either. It was a draw, and I was more than happy with the draw. Another occasion was when I walked across the road to go to my favourite bar, and Neukölln at that time was roughly, you could split it into three parts or populations. There were Germans, Turkish, and Arab people living there. Most Germans from other parts of Berlin did not want to move to Neukölln, because it was just undesirable for them. It was like the worst place in town. But things have probably changed now. It's a very desirable, multi-culti place to move to. But in those days, it was frowned upon. I was at a party once and talking to a woman, and she and her husband wanted to move and find a flat. And I said, well, you know, come to my part of town because there are loads of flats going. And she said, no, we couldn't move to Neukölln. It's a big no-no. It was. Anyway, I was going to this bar and I walked across the road. And across the road there was a Turkish place, a Turkish cafe, which are weird because they're just frequented by men. But there is a woman out the back in her own little room. I saw her occasionally. She'd come out the front for a cigarette. But she was obviously there for different purposes. And Turkey was playing that night a big football match. So I went to the men sitting outside, and because I'm a nice guy, I put up my thumb and said, "Good luck for tonight, for the match," you know. And some people nodded because I was speaking in German. This one guy got up and came towards me like this, and he had to be restrained by his friends, who explained to him, because he obviously didn't speak the language, that I had actually meant well. It was not something horrible, I'd say. So they had to pull him off. You know, he would have attacked me, and it was a weird place to be. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you to get that off my chest, and there'll probably be another couple of violent encounter stories somewhere down the line. But until then, thanks for watching, and take care of yourself and those you love. And I'll see you, I hope, in the next one. Alrighty, bye for now, and Tschüssikowski.